Boy, it has been a minute since I've recorded a video like this. I usually, like to go outside and even if it's a video about 5 best things here or there, whatever, I like to record them outside. But currently, this is the weather. So I'm not doing that today. Yesterday I went out and recorded video for about 3 hours, but today I decided to stay nice and warm inside. But today I thought I would take the opportunity to talk about basically moving to Germany. I'm in a number of Facebook groups who talk about moving to Germany and moving to Berlin. You sometimes see the same questions pop up over and over, and I don't always take the time to answer them all. So I thought I'd make a video about some of the more common ones I see and answer them in this video. Making the decision to move to a new country, whether it's for work or for school or for military or just you want to change your life, it's a very exciting time. And with that, it comes a lot of questions. In this video, I'm going to answer a few of those questions. If you're thinking about moving to Germany and you have some questions for me, leave me a comment and maybe I'll make a video of your questions. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. So a question that's posed often, it comes in a variety of forms like this. Hi everyone, I am fairly lost on how to get the immigration ball rolling and would appreciate any advice. I'm a technical writer and hoping to branch into product management. I would like to get a master's degree. I have a very clear idea of what I want to study, but it's not within my means financially at the moment. Is it possible for someone like me who is not in a relationship, does not work in finance, does not have a coding engineering background, and does not have pre-existing EU citizenship to move to Germany? If it was possible, I would move next week. I studied German in high school and have done an Austausch, although I have forgotten most of my language skills at this point. And as I currently sit in a meeting at work, all I can think of is I would love to live in a country with a healthy work-life balance. I cannot work in this environment for another 35 years. Appreciate any help you can provide. I sympathize and I feel you 100% with this question. This is where I was 3 years ago. How do I get here? What can I do to move to Europe? When I was thinking about moving, my initial thought wasn't necessarily to move to Germany, but it was just to get to Europe. Germany worked out for me because of the opportunity to go to a master's program, which got me here. And that's what I want to talk about first is moving to Germany to get an education. Moving to Germany to get an education is one of the most popular ways to move to Germany for many Americans, particularly when it comes to master's degrees. If you're looking at coming to Germany for an undergraduate program, you need to know a few things. First, you're going to need to know German. Most undergraduate bachelor's programs are taught in German, so you're going to need to know German at a C1 level. Second, you need to understand that the American high school system is not the same as the German Abitur. In order to attend university in Germany for a bachelor's degree, you're going to need more than just a high school diploma. You're probably going to need to go through 2 years of community college to get roughly to the same level as the Abitur. I am not an expert, don't quote me on that, but I know the high school diploma is not equivalent to the German Abitur in most cases. But coming over for a master's degree is different. If you look on the website daad.de, and I'll post a link in the description, if you look on that website, there are something like 1,300 master's degrees taught in English here in Germany. So if you want to come over to Germany to do your master's degree in English, you have many opportunities. And the beauty of coming to Germany to do your master's degree, at least in the public universities, is it's basically free. My program is a joint master's program between Freie Universität zu Berlin and Humboldt University. And my student fees are roughly 300 euros every term, so 600 euros a year. And with that, I get a public transportation pass, which allows me to go throughout Berlin and to many of its suburbs. When I was at Bayreuth, my student fees were only 60 euros. So it really depends on where you go, what fees you'll pay. When it comes to getting your master's degree, you do have to have what's called a blocked bank account. I have made a video that I'll link about the blocked account. It's about 3 years old, but the basic requirements and the basic information in it is still correct, although the amount that you have to have in it has changed. I don't know currently what the exact amount is. I'll put it on the screen when I'm editing this video. Now, the blocked account basically is a set amount of money. When I did it the first year, I want to say it was somewhere around 11,000 euros. You have to put this money aside in what's called a blocked account, and they dispense it to you a certain amount every month, something like 800 or 900 euros every month, to make sure you have enough money to live. Now, I only had to do this for the first year because after I renewed my residency permit, I was able to show income on my bank statements, so I didn't have to have a blocked bank account. Once you finish your master's degree, you have an automatic 18-month residency permit to find a job. And if you can find a job within that 18 months, your residency permit will be changed to work permit. If not, you're going to have to leave. So you'll have 18 months to find a job and to get to that next stage after you graduate. All of this information you need about the requirements for a student residency permit can be found at this link. And again, I'll put this link in the description as well. As for the last part of the question, the work-life balance in Germany and in Europe in general is a lot different than it is in the US. Germans average about 1,350 work hours per year, whereas Americans average about 1,750 work hours per year. That's a big difference. German employees are entitled to 30 vacation days off per year, plus federal holidays. And if you're in Bavaria, you get a few extra holidays as well. Those 30 mandatory vacation days are mandatory. Your employer can't stop you from taking those days or they're going to get in trouble. Now, with every good, there comes bad. And on average, salaries are a bit lower in Germany than they are in the US. And some people say that taxes are higher here than in the US. I've had people debate this, and I'll leave it to the experts on taxing and accountancy to debate that. But from my opinion, yes, salaries might be lower. If you're in higher paying fields, there is a significant difference. But for me, the trade-off is worth it. As for the taxes, for me, it's a cost-benefit thing. Yes, the amount of taxes you pay is important, but what you get for those taxes is important as well. So what do you get in the US for your taxes? You know, a crumbling infrastructure, potholes in your roads, basically no social safety net when you retire. It really is all about what's important to you and what you can live with paying for. You know what I mean? Here's another question that's often posed. My top 2 reasons for wanting to leave the US are safety and healthcare. I've already established that Germany is much safer than the US, but how is the quality of healthcare? That is another huge factor for me and my family. Now, they're absolutely right. Germany, there's no question about it that Germany is safer than the US. Germany averages about 0.8 intentional homicides per 100,000, while in the US, it averages about 6.8 intentional homicides per 100,000. That is a huge difference. In 2010, the US averaged 27.31 sexual assaults per 100,000 people, whereas Germany averaged 9.38 sexual assaults per 100,000. Now, any assault is terrible, but this difference is striking. And these differences can't just be explained by guns. That is a huge factor when it comes to the intentional homicides and whatnot, but there are other factors at play here. When I had a tour the other day with a group of Irish gentlemen, and they were asking me about the crime and everything in Berlin. I said, well, there's really not very much crime. We had 38 murders last year, and they were astounded because in Ireland, he said they had 22 murders in the entire country. And I was flabbergasted because for me, coming from Dallas, which averages about 270 murders per year, 38 to me seems a lot better. So it all really is a difference of perspective. Now, obviously, one murder is terrible, but my point is, it is a lot safer here in Germany than it is in the US. As far as healthcare goes, being able to readily afford healthcare is a huge difference. It is one thing that makes healthcare better in Germany, in my opinion. When you change jobs, you won't lose your healthcare like you do in the US. It isn't perfect. It has its challenges. It's sometimes difficult to find a doctor who's taking new patients, and it's even harder if you don't live in a big city. But what you need to understand about German healthcare is it's not nationalized, socialized medicine like you think of with the system in the United Kingdom, per se. It is an insurance-based system where you either have public insurance or private insurance. It's basically what the Affordable Care Act should have been had the Republican Party not been dead set on keeping Americans poor and sick and benefiting their corporate overlords. If you enter the public option here in Germany before the age of 30, it's pretty cheap. But if you're over 30, like me, and you have to get private insurance. It's more expensive. It's quite a bit more expensive actually than public insurance, but it's still cheaper than the insurance that I had in the US. Plus, there is no deductible you have to meet before you actually get the benefits of having insurance. And the maximum out-of-pocket cost for medication is 10 euros or so. So you're not having to come out of pocket for all of these expenses like you do in the US. I often wonder, like, what is even the point of having insurance in the US if you have to spend $15,000, $10,000 before you actually get to use your insurance? It makes no sense. The system just makes no sense at all. As for the quality of the insurance, I can't really vouch for it. I've not been sick much, knock on wood. I haven't had to use the doctor very much. But I will say, when I sliced my foot open a couple of years ago and had to go to the emergency room, it went fine. I mean, it was a long wait. I went at 11 o'clock at night and I had to wait like 5 hours. But when I finally saw the doctor, he was very professional. He did a really good job. The only thing I will say is that when I was done and getting ready to leave, he didn't offer me a prescription for pain medication, which was fine. I just should have ibuprofen. But I thought that was a lot different than my experiences in the US, where any kind of bump, bruise, scratch, you're pretty much offered pain medication. Another funny story I will say is he asked me how I got to the hospital. I said, well, I wrapped my foot up in what I had, paper towels, and I put my shoes on and I hobbled down to the metro station, took the metro, finally found the hospital, hobbled in and went to the doctor. And he said, well, why didn't you just use an ambulance? I said, well, the thought never even crossed my mind, because he's like, oh yeah, you should have just used an ambulance. It's free. It's like, well, if I were in the US and tried to use an ambulance, it would cost me $10,000. He's like, no. Next time use the ambulance. It's free. It's like, oh, okay, good call. Thank you. So that's another difference, being able to actually use an ambulance without having to go bankrupt if you get sick. All right, here's a third comment that I'm gonna address, because it has truth to it, but it's also irritating. And it was posted anonymously, and I have a knee-jerk reaction against any anonymous postings. If you're going to post something, have the courage to stand by what you say. So the post says, I really don't mean to step on any toes here. There have been a lot of posts lately about people wanting to move to Germany but not speaking the language. The short answer, no matter what country, learn the language. Long answer, never assume the country will or should adapt to you. It starts with basic things like the grocery store, but then what if you can't communicate at the doctor, at the DMV, at the tax office, or having a conversation with your 80-year-old neighbor that doesn't speak a word of English? I moved to the US in the mid-90s and assumed from the very beginning that it was my turn to adapt to my country of choice and not vice versa. I will agree with this 100%. It is your duty to adapt to living here. It's not the country's duty to adapt to you. So while I do agree with that, I don't agree with the snark. Not everyone can learn the language before they come. That's just the fact. It takes time to learn German. I've been living here for 3 years, and I am not the most dedicated German learner by any means. So that goes without saying. I have picked up German out as I go. I can communicate with people. I can go to the store. I can talk to people in restaurants and that kind of thing. But I can't have a lengthy conversation with you in German. I just can't do that yet. So it takes time to learn here, and don't let not speaking the language stop you from coming. Now, for me, living in Berlin, it's a lot different than if you're living in some small town in Baden-Württemberg or Bavaria or something where nobody speaks English. For me, living in Berlin has actually probably hurt my learning language because everyone speaks English. You know, I'll start to speak German and they'll start to speak English back to me because they know I don't speak German very well. Yes, if you're living here for an extended period of time, definitely learn the language. At least learn enough so you can get by on a day-to-day basis. If you're here for 1 year, 3 years, you're here in the Army, Air Force, whatever, it's unrealistic to think you're going to learn the language in that amount of time, plus your other duties. So learn as much as you can to get by and to not be rude. My whole thing is just don't be rude. You know, try your best. If people see you're trying, they appreciate that. And finally, the last question I'll answer is, this post is posted often, and I think it's farming, but whatever. What's the best thing about living in Germany? I've struggled with this question because there are a lot of things that I like about Germany. There's so much. The ability to travel you can go from Berlin to, I don't know, Warsaw in 4 or 5 hours. The ability to travel throughout Europe is just so nice. Being able to go to all of these places, all of these historical sites. For me as a historian, that's huge. Feeling safe, feeling like I am not going to get shot going to the grocery store, it is an important thing to me. All of these things to me are what make living here pretty good. It is not without its challenges. There are times where I just want to pack it in and go home. I've had these moments. I know I don't project this often on this channel. I usually tend to show the positive side of life here, but there are negatives. It can be lonely. So you have to make sure that the things that are good about living here suit your needs and are enough to get you through the tough times. And for me, they are. I love being able to hop on a train and go an hour from here to Brandenburg or Potsdam and see these beautiful cathedrals. I love guiding tours here. I love showing people the things that I like. So yeah, for me, just living in history is the best part of Germany for me. So guys, this is just a few questions. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you have any questions about life in Germany that you would like me to answer, leave me a comment and I will try to get to it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit the like button and I'll see you next time.